as self-care. So people don't always think about that. Sometimes you think about self-care as, oh, I'm going to the spa, which I love. Pearl spa is my favorite. Or I'm going to go get my nails done or pedicure or whatever, massage. Or I'm just going to take a break and go do some adult coloring or go work out or listen to music. Those are wonderful self care activities. And when I ask people what they want to do for self care, those are some of the first things that people start telling me. They say, oh, yeah, for self care, I'm going to do something really, really cool. Well, today we're talking about using prevention and self care. Prevention and self care. And again, I said I was going to give you two examples. And for those who want to know, okay, what is self care? Why do we want to do that? I did a 5-day series where I talk about self care from the basics. It actually went as one of the featured broadcasts for Twitter for the Wellness Warriors a couple years ago. So there were like tens of thousands of views all about self care. Who knew self care was so incredibly popular, right? So that's really good stuff. And if you're interested in that, you go to bit.ly/BerginaMD, BerginaMD. But let me give you those two examples that I was thinking about for those have already watched that, or those who are already, ready to go. You're ready to just dive in and get these examples, okay? So you're ahead of the curve. So for my ahead of the curve people, or my folks who already kind of have an idea what self-care is, these are some unique ways of thinking about self-care in terms of prevention. Number one is healthcare maintenance, using that as a form of self-care. Because think about it, self-care is basically making sure that your mind, body, and spirit are working functional and optimally as best as you can. So that includes making sure that you're eating healthy and taking time to pull away from the busyness of life and doing wonderful things from the BUSYNESS of life. So that's the example of self-care. But how can you be fit and functional? Well, if you're taking care of some preventative healthcare maintenance issues, then you can do that. Every year you have a physical exam, right? And every year for females, they're probably going to ask you about your feminine reproductive health. They're going to ask you if you had any major issues. They're going to check your blood pressure and your weight, and they may send you for lab work. Men, they may ask you about your reproductive health as well. You may get a prostate exam. Women, you may get a breast exam, potentially, depending on your age and depending on what's going on. Um, uh, Exams in office are not as highly recommended, but mammogram, prostate exam. So for my females, get a mammogram. That's a basic way to do self-care, and it's a preventative form of self-care maintenance. So very proud of one of the young ladies in my coaching program who posted a picture in our accountability group, who basically showed a picture of herself at the doctor's office after she got her mammogram. And she had this huge smile on her face because she did something to care for herself. But self-care is self-love, but it's also caring for others. Why? Because early detection, prevention, right? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Prevention, making sure that she doesn't have any issues in terms of breast cancer, that's going to keep her alive and healthy much longer. And then she can be there for her family, right? She takes care of herself. So that's one great example. Let me give you another really good example of how prevention is self-care. Real life example, this happened yesterday. If you go to my Instagram, Bergina Isabel MD, you'll actually see this picture of myself and my hero for the day, Jacob. Jacob had no idea when he was coming to work at Best Buy that he was going to be the hero of the day. But and I get to write the company about him, and hopefully they'll give him a nice shout out, and put him in the poll for something special. But we went there because my keyboard, my trusty dusty keyboard for my lovely tablet, just conked out on me. And I was just ready to go buy another one. My husband said, I think it's under warranty, or I think you got, did you get the whole protection thing? And I was like, I don't think so. It wasn't that expensive. Why would I get protection? Lo and behold, thank God for husbands and people that ask these kinds of questions. We went back and looked, and yes, I did have coverage. So I'm in the Best Buy with the fam in the Best Buy, and I just came to get another keyboard. And it was super fast, because they looked up my information. I had the receipt, emailed the receipt. So I had that, went in, got that done, got that taken care of. So kudos to NeoShell. Thank you so much for making that happen super fast. But then we started looking at other things, because my son has an iPad that can partially be used as his voice or his incentive, depending on what we're doing with it. And I thought, you know what? Might be conking out pretty soon. Let's just kind of go and look and see what the the Air books are like, and the Mac Airs and the other iPads and all that good stuff. And if you're an autism mom, you feel my pain. Everything's on iOS, right? And not there's hardly anything on Android, like good stuff that we really like. It's on iOS. So anyway, I'm sitting here thinking this kind of sucks that I'm not going to be able to use his device forever and ever and ever. So we get caught up in this conversation about keyboards, and I bring my son over and he's playing with it. And then I guess he gets disinterested and he sees something even cooler and brighter and more interesting. So he just like zips down. I go after him. Can't quite catch him fast enough. He doubles back. I don't see him. And so we have kind of like our own little family Amber Alert protocol. If we don't see my son, if he just slips through the radar, slips through, and I can't see him, my daughter can't see him, my husband can't see him, we kind of have this little divide and conquer method for searching out wherever we are in these quadrants. And we kind of already have dealt with it. We kind of already know. So that's the preventative maintenance. These are the places that he tends to like to go and what he tends to like to do. And so, literally we will divide the store in quadrants and go to the areas that we think he's most likely to go to. But then there's usually somebody that kind of mans the major exits. And that's usually my husband. So interestingly enough, I went left, daughter went right. Usually my husband goes towards the door. My husband wasn't with us. However, the superstar of the day, my hero of the day, Jacob, who had been talking with us and showing us the keyboards and such, he immediately doubled back towards the front door of the Best Buy, where he thought he had seen my son kind of wander off. Okay, I thought I saw him go left. Apparently he went right. And Jacob went to the right, went to the door, and there was my son standing there between the door and the phones, kind of looking at the phones, but he was close enough to the door. He couldn't have gotten out, guys. There was a person at the door who was like vigilant and not going to just let a child walk out by himself. But still, as a parent, if you're ever had a kid wander, you know that feeling, right? So either way, Jacob was there and he saw my son and was just like, hey, your mom's this way. So my son followed. He heard mommy, so he just followed and just went that way. And I think that was just the greatest thing in the world. So this is where prevention is self-care. Because again, if you've had a child wander away, you know that it feels like you've lost, you feel like you're back in the Princess Bride where they suck a year of life away from you. You just sucked, a day of life from me because you don't completely go into panic mode, but it's like, okay, I don't see the child. You don't see the child. The child is this high. Where'd he go? And so thank God for preventative maintenance. The fact that, we know my son has a tendency to wander. So everyone in the family, again, kind of intuitively, somewhat of the things that we've discussed, but we just know we have to plan in place. Again, it's the family Amber Alert. I'm going this way, you're going that way, somebody's going towards the exit. And we branch out till we find them. As soon as someone finds them, they go looking for the other folks and, lets everybody know, hey, everything's safe, we're good. So that is a great form of self-care for me, because when we put those things in place, I can relax and I don't have to be frustrated and worry as much. And that helps keep my anxiety level down. That helps keep my stress level down. And guess what? Less stress, less cortisol, extra cortisol floating around, increased years of life. Talk about self-care. That's the good thing. Okay, when you keep your stress level down. And that's a great example of that. BS Adams, you're saying you've been through that experience? Yes. I think most moms or most parents have been through that experience where your child's just kind of wandered. And if you have a child with autism, my guess is they wandered at least once. I'm guessing. I mean, odds are they've wandered at least once. Even if they're not a typical wanderer. Like if someone asked me a year ago, is your child a wanderer? I probably would have said no, because in my mind, I'm thinking wanderer, they're leaving the house and going off. And I do have family and friends who that happens. My son's more of a, if I'm out in public, he'll just wander throughout the store. And we can find him pretty easily, but it's just the fact that he has a tendency to do that. So now we've got that little, like I said, quasi Amber Alert. And, that's the first stage. And we will look and cover the quadrants. If we look, cover quadrants and come back and still don't see him, it's immediate going to the manager or some, the customer service desk, someplace with a loud phone. And as I was walking around, The good Best Buy people were like, do you need any help? Is there anything you need? And I said, not from your store, but can't find my son this high. This is what he's wearing. And I just keep on walking. And immediately they're on alert. They're just like, okay, well, yeah, we always have family members, kids, husbands, wives that wander off looking at electronics and things. We'll be on the lookout. Okay. But I know that if we'd done our little quadrant search, our little personal Amber Alert, and couldn't find him, we all know what would have happened next. Each one of us would have, again, kind of divided and conquered. Somebody would still be looking, but at least one of us was going to go to the nearest customer service desk or wherever they may have, an overhead paging system to say, hello, there's a lost child. And then the bigger Amber Alert, the store-wide Amber Alert gets really alerted, not just our family one. We haven't gotten that far yet. The one time that happened, not in a store, but we were at the beach. And people did exactly what they needed to do. If that hadn't been in place, if we couldn't find someone then it goes to the bigger Amber Alert, the law enforcement and such a call. So there's steps and stages. Thank God we've never had to be in that place. But Ms. Adams is saying, he was terrified for a moment until your oldest child found his baby brother. Yes, you do have that little frisson of terror. And again, we keep our stress levels down when we have these things in place. So this is the other example that I'm talking about, of preventative self-care. Number one, for your physical self, prevention, taking care of your medical issues, mammograms, cholesterol, glucose testing, hemoglobin A1Cs, those kinds of things at your physicals. Men, prostate exam. If you really just don't want to have that prostate exam, get a PSA, okay? That's not as recommended. That's not as highly recommended. My husband has done prostate cancer research and reminded me that the last time I talked about this, said, hey, that's not really the end thing. But ask your doctor what you need to be doing in terms of maintenance. Men, please go get your selves taken care of, because that will help you reduce your anxiety and your partner's anxiety. And thank God, that is a good way for self-care. Okay, Miss Adams says her grandson is autistic, but is 14. The store you were inside appeared in seconds, and they were very professional. Yes, I'm loving the fact that there are more and more stores that are being trained in that way. And I don't know what training they did at Best Buy or what Jacob's training was, but he was on it. You would have thought, like I said in the Instagram post, you would have thought that he was a member of the family and knew, because when I didn't see him, I immediately said, oh, I'm sorry, I got to distance myself. I got to go look for my son. And my daughter and I went one direction at first. When we didn't see him, I was like, okay, divide and conquer. I'm going this way. And she was like, I'm going this way. And we hadn't said anything to Jacob. We didn't say, could you please look for my son? Or we're going to look for him. I just noticed him beelining basically where my son went and turning the opposite direction. And I went to the end of my quadrant. By the time I finished looking where I was looking, I saw my daughter carrying my son. And when I'm back, I asked her, I said, how? I said, did you find him? She's like, no. The gentleman that was helping us found him. And then I found the gentleman. And, when she did her quadrant, she didn't see him in the quadrant. She immediately went back to where we were, which is, again, kind of one of the things that we do. You get lost, or we get lost, because kids never get lost, right? It's the parents that get lost. So you get lost or the parents get lost. If you don't see us in the general area of where you've wandered off, always go back to the last place you saw us, because that's where we're going to try to find you. And if we can't find you there, then go to, if you don't see us there after waiting 10 minutes or so, 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, then you find a person who's got a badge or who has some information to let you know who they are, that they work for the park or wherever it is that we happen to be, whatever public place. And then let them take you to, usually, again, where they have a loudspeaker. And that's helpful. Okay. So if men are married, think of your wife or significant other. They'll very much appreciate it. Prevention is a key. Absolutely. If you have a loved one of any sort, maybe you don't want to have to go through the process of getting these things done. Mammograms aren't the most comfortable thing. Prostate exams, again, not the most comfortable thing. It's not something that you just like doing, and I'm glad most of us don't want to do it more than once a year or once every how often we have to do it. But it is self-care, because you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your body. But again, remember I said when you're doing these things, you give yourself a gift but it's the gift that literally does keep giving, because then you're catching things early if there's something there, or giving your family peace of mind. How wonderful it is to be able to tell someone, hey, had my mammogram and they didn't find anything. Hey, had my PSA or prostate exam or whatever and everything is fine. Hey, went to my doctor's my check and no high blood pressure or my pressure's gone down, no diabetes. That's a wonderful thing. And that, again, it is the gift that keeps on giving. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. And thanks, Ms. Adams, for joining. I really appreciate that. This is wonderful. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, absolutely. For those of you who are on Facebook and YouTube, you can put something in the comments section. For those Instagram, you can always DM me. Periscope, I'm still not quite sure how you're going to get a hold of me other than going through Twitter. But that's always wonderful because you can send me a message there and I will receive it. I get the nice little notifications that are letting me know that you have questions. Again, it is May. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. So I definitely want you to share one of your mental health moments or mindset moments that are memorable for you. I would love to hear about it. If there's a particular topic that you want me to cover during the month of May, absolutely let me know about it. There are quite a few things that folks have already told me that they want to hear about. Of course, every time that we come around this time, you usually have folks that want to have questions about depression or anxiety. Those are typical things. But outside of that, okay, I know there's some other issues that people have concerns about, and I'd love to know what you want to. Yeah, it is kind of hard to catch me live. Definitely set your notifications because I come on all different times. It used to be 8:30 in the evening Eastern Standard Time, and things have fluxed about a bit. So thank you so much. You guys have a great evening. One last thing that I will say, if you go to bit.ly/BerginaMD, that's BerginaMD, you will find a gift or two for you. You'll see the countdown monitor, and you will see that most of the products that I have that are teachings and trainings that I have, they're like, most of them are like 90% off. Some of them are way more than 90% off. They're ridiculously low. And I've done that specifically because it's the month of May and it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So today we talked about self-care. You can get the self-care package that I was mentioning earlier. I believe it's $13, at least for the next couple of days. Then it'll go up to like 17, and then it'll go up again to like 26. Why pay 26 when you can pay 13, right? Okay, so definitely take advantage of that, and you'll be able to see that all throughout the day. I do believe as of Thursday or Friday, the prices are going to start going up. But definitely tell a friend, tell a family member, tell someone that you love and care about, so that they can get it to take advantage of the pricing right there. Okay, love you guys. You have a very blessed night on purpose. Take care, Instagram. And for my folks that are over here on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube, you know how to be able to send me some information and let me know if there are particular topics that you want to hear about. We've got so many things coming up this month. It's almost scary, all the different things that we have coming up this month. But I am doing it, of course, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month. But we're going to have daily things that we'll talk about as well. All right, you guys have a very blessed day on purpose. Take care.